It's not in the face! Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Hey, Not the Face with your host, John Nash, and your producer, me, Steffi Haynes. And today we're going to talk about UFC fighter pay. But first, we're going to take a look at this past weekend's Usyk versus Fury rematch. But before we get into all that, let's check in with John and see how life has been up there in ice cold Minnesota.
It's been ice cold. That's what it's been. It's freaking freezing.
What's the temperature right now?
I don't know if it's super cold today, but we had a lot of snow the other day. Couldn't leave the house for a little bit because it was super cold and snowy. I think we're just below freezing right now, so it warmed up today, but still a little chilly out with the wind.
It is truly a winter paradise there. The picture you sent me was incredible. I like
winter
it looks like a
you mean?
Postcard where you're at. It's insane. I love it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You can trade places.
I would in a heartbeat because Texas is unseasonably warm. It is 10:37 p.m. here on Sunday, December 22nd, and it is 65 friggin' degrees right now. 65 at night.
Oh, that sounds so nice. That sounds so nice.
But anyways, hey, I got to get your thoughts on something. What did you think of Usyk versus Fury? Did you think that there was a problem with the 116, 112 card?
No, I thought that was pretty accurate. I think I called it during the fight that I reported. My score was 7 rounds to 5. So, but which that 7 rounds to 5, and they had 8-4, so a lot of close rounds. I thought it was a close fight, although clearly an Usyk win at the same time, if that makes sense for people out there. I found it Usyk was I don't want to say clear winner. I guess if you go round by round, maybe there's a few people that could give it like a draw, but it seemed clear to me that Usyk was the right guy won. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I slept all day long yesterday, and so I slept right through it. And I have not had a chance to go back and check it out, but I plan to do that tonight after we're done here. But I have not had a chance to check it out. I haven't even seen clips or anything. The only thing I've seen is a photo, and somebody tagged the photo. It was of Turkey LL Sheik and Tyson Fury. And somebody, I think it was our good buddy Fred Garvin, who had posted, only 2 people are upset about the scoring here. And these are the 2 people. And he has that picture.
That could be right. You're joining everybody else, though, because I think very few people watched it. I got none of my friends were asking about it. My brothers who, are casual fans, but these are the type of fights they like, they're into Usyk and stuff, but they forgot what week it was. There was there was nothing that told them it was coming up. So it's you're joining you're in good company, I guess, about the number of people, but you missed it. Go watch it because it's just like the first fight. It's definitely worth watching. Usyk is he's a generational talent. Just
sure
easily
is.
The best heavyweight. You know what? I'm going to take that back. I was going to say the best heavyweight since Lennox Lewis, but he's a better fighter than the Klitschko brothers, but I think on the listing of historical heavyweights, you got to put the Klitschkos for how long they're at the top higher. But since the Klitschko, he's of this era of heavyweights. He has ended up on top. He's easily better than Fury, Joshua, Wilder, Dubois. Name all the other heavyweights. He is the guy on the top of the pile, and he's amazing to watch. Considering, and he's also, I'd love to see that a guy basically the same frame size as Muhammad Ali, kicking the crap out of much bigger guys. For all these people that said we're entering a new world where the smaller boxers can't compete. Bullshit.
Now, I did see one clip. I forgot about this. I did see Daniel Dubois go in and accuse him of robbery in their previous fight, and he wants the rematch and blah blah blah. What did you think of that?
That was so cringe. During the fight, I had the audio off, and for some reason I turned it on. I think just to see when they announced the fight, I wanted to hear it. And then I left it on, unfortunately. So he came in and started talking, and it was so cringe. It just, I don't blame him. Either someone prodded him or he thought it'd be a good idea. But as soon as it happened, I was thinking, this is going to be Jason Mayhem Miller approaching Jake Shields at Strikeforce again. And I'm like, look out for the Diaz brothers, because they might be coming out of left field here. But that didn't happen, but it was cringe. But I don't blame him. I mean, it sounded like, Usyk said he would fight him again, which is good. But at the same time, I think Usyk's been talking about, I thought he'd retire, but I guess he's talking about dropping back down to cruiserweight.
Why?
Because he has to gain so much weight for heavyweight, and he basically has to force feed himself, and he doesn't enjoy it. I don't know what he's going to do at cruiserweight. I mean, I guess win the title again, unify it maybe. Maybe it's just talk by him, but I guess maybe at the end of his career, he wants one more fight at cruiserweight. I don't know what he's thinking. So I just know he's up there. He's going to be 38 in January. So
he's
not
done
sure
enough, in my opinion.
Yeah. He cemented himself as an all-time great. He unified against a killer cruiserweight field, unified the title, undisputed there, and now amongst a better than what it's been in like 20 years, heavyweight division. He beat the other top heavyweights, at least two of the three super heavyweight, the superstars of the heavyweight division, beat them both twice and has unified the title there. So I don't know what else he has to do.
He needs to fight Francis.
No.
I'm just kidding.
God, no. I mean,
I'm messing around.
Yeah.
I had to get that in there.
I'm curious. Francis was there at the fight.
I did see pictures of Francis all over the place. So.
Yeah. And they had some, talk of him fighting in Africa and stuff. So he's got, good old Ngannou. He's got options both with the PFL and in boxing. So, and who knows what's going to happen with the UFC going forward, but we'll see. But I don't think I love Ngannou, but I do not want to see him fight Usyk, mostly because it's not deserved. He hasn't done anything in the boxing to deserve a shot. Second, I think he won't be embarrassed like with Josh with the power shots, but I think I don't know how he touches them.
He'd get tuned up.
Yeah, I think it would be like a faster pace what happened to Dubois, and without the potential arguable low blow punch. So.
Okay, so, we talked about how many people didn't watch. Apparently I wasn't the only one. And when I went online after the fights, I saw some chatter amongst our, diehard mutuals, brunch boxing guys, people like that. But I didn't see much chatter outside of that, outside of our hardcores. So how do you think this thing did business-wise, especially since we always harp on the fact that putting boxing over there doesn't do anything for American boxing? So what do you think it did business-wise?
Well, it's always been a hard sell for like the Klitschko's in the U.S., but I mean, theoretically, this should have been an easier sell in the United States with Fury and Usyk, just undisputed title. Fury's a much more interesting character. That much more familiar to the Americans than Klitschko. The last fight was exciting. So days of HBO boxing, I think they would have done a pretty good job of getting this out to the audience. It wouldn't have been like a huge American fight, but boxing fans, would have been much more interested, at least casual boxing fans. The hardcore boxing fans, like you said on Twitter, you could tell everybody I knew that's a hardcore boxing fan was watching this. They were into this fight because these are, the elite of the elite. But that next tier of, kind of casual, that they're into certain fighters who depend on their friends to recommend it or what they were watching if they had Showtime or HBO back in the day, they weren't present at all. So it didn't cross over not just the casual, but the less hardcore fan. I don't think it, or I shouldn't say hardcore. The boxing fan that's a little more casual than the hardcore. It didn't tap into them at all. So I think it's on DAZN, which has, as we talked about before, has no presence in the United States. I think the pay-per-view buys in the U.S. are going to be terrible, much worse than it would have done in years past with the Showtime or HBO back in the day when they were promoting boxing. So even the ESPN, I mean, the fact that it was on DAZN only, there was no way it wasn't on ESPN, was it? ESPN Plus?
Not that I'm aware of.
I looked at it, I didn't see it on there. So it looked like it was DAZN only. So there's not that other sources of to purchase it for people that don't have DAZN. So that just eliminates. I think the pay-per-view buys of this are going to be atrocious. You're talking PFL numbers of pay-per-view buys, probably maybe a little higher, just because people might have sought it out. But I bet you 50,000 would be being considered a hit, considered how bad it did in the U.S. Now in the UK, I'm sure it did better, but I bet you even there it doesn't do as much as they would normally expect. So business-wise, I guess from the fighter point of view, those two made a fortune. They were paid a tremendous amount guaranteed to be there. They're walking away with life-altering money. I don't think they're making the $190 million combined that was thrown around. I think that's an exaggeration. Every time we compare what we get from the UK company house reports versus what a lot of the press runs with, there's a little inflated. But these two made a ton of money. I bet you combined, they surpassed $100 million easily on this fight. So that's just a huge amount of money between the two of them. So they did great. I'm sure the promoters got a piece, so they did okay. But the Riyadh season putting together, there's no way they got their money back. I'm sure they lost tens upon tens of millions on this. So business-wise, I guess you could say that it's good that the boxers, I mean, not to put a dig at the UFC, but I'm going to put a little dig at the UFC. If the UFC or an MMA promotion went there and got in this, the money would have gone to the promoter. So it's nice to see that Usyk and Fury are basically walking away with all the money that the Saudis are blowing on this.
I'm going to backtrack for a second to your thoughts on the fight. I want to talk to you about the AI judging, because from what I understand, the AI judging scored 2 of the rounds 10-10.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the AI couldn't give a 10-9. They're not going to be working. That AI judge is not going to be working in Nevada where they require they want you to do a 10-9 rounds. No 10-10 in boxing there. You know what? I got to say this. I was surprised that the scoring wasn't worse by the AI judge. It basically followed most people's scoring except for the 10-10 rounds. So, I guess it can't do the final decision making, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would, but it's still AI judging, for God's sake.
Now, final question on this topic, and that is, if you think the results of this boxing match were good or bad for boxing in total.
Well, I think it's 2 things we're going to divide it. One is the sport, and one is the prize fighting aspect, because that's 2 things about boxing. Boxing is purely, it's prize fighting. It's a purely commercial venture most of the time, but it's also got a little bit of sport. On the prize fighting side, this was the event itself was probably good. People that watch the fight are going to walk away thinking they want to see more. They want to see more heavyweights fight like that. That was an entertaining bout. That was dramatic. Had suspense, had everything going for it. Intriguing, gripping, had all throw out whatever words you want and descriptors, that it had it. So that part was great. I don't know how the prelims were, the undercard, because I skipped most of it. I had shit to do all day. I was driving Miss Nash around all day. The chauffeur for, it's supposed to be a simple run, ends up for my mom being several hours, and and I had to pick up some stuff for from other people. So that I missed most of the undercard. So I can't say how it was terrible like most of the Riyadh season events have been. But the main event delivered. So on that sense, it's good. Now, on the sense of business, well, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you really fast, around what time did the fight start? Because I know that the prelims and all of that stuff started very, very early in the day. So I'm just trying to gauge how long it took to get to the main event.
Well, there was a big drum show that we had to get through. I think the walkouts were a little after 4:30 Central Time, 4:30 p.m. Central Time. So it's, it was a long event, I'm sure, like most of them.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah. But business-wise, though, I think in some ways you got to look, it's going to be bad for business, because for the business of boxing, what generates money is Fury generates more money than Usyk, right? Usyk, I would call Usyk a star, because people know he is, but he's not like a star that drives traffic. And there's really no competitors for him. So it's bad for boxing in the sense that they don't have Fury, the champ, that he's more familiar to more fans. He has a bigger fan base. He draws more in the UK, sells more pay-per-views, all the money stuff. Also doesn't set up the trilogy match that would have done a lot of money. well, I guess with the Saudis, not a lot of money because they're in Saudi Arabia and don't make money on those. But the type of match that would draw a lot of money would be Usyk Fury 3. So in that sense, it's bad for business that the guy that draws more money. Now, but that's not the worst. I mean, boxing as a sport is a repeat player. That's a one-time event. You'd like to get Fury to win to have a big fight somewhere else. But as a repeat player, it's good for boxing that the best fight the best like this, and they have dramatic fights. And that Usyk, sporting-wise, Usyk got a shot against Joshua because he was a mandatory, beat him, then got a shot against Fury. I mean, remember Fury was denying, said he would never fight Usyk? Think how bad it would have been. We could say, oh, it's better for the business of the sport if Fury listened to that and never fought Usyk. But just think how bad that would be for actual fans and the actual sport, and actually, if you have any interest in seeing, the best compete against the best, that kind of thing, how awful it would have been if Fury stuck to his guns on that and never fought Usyk.
Right.
We might have had a big Joshua fight or something, but we don't get to see the rise and Usyk deliver and reveal himself as a generational heavyweight talent if that happens. So for the sport, yeah, I think this was an excellent result. Unfortunately, no one's watching the sport because it's taking place in a country that it doesn't seem like it's a big fan base there, and it's on a network, DAZN, that no one has. So, this great event that's great for the sport, at the same time, no one saw it. So it's like, if a tree falls in the wood.
Would you like to see Fury versus Joshua now?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Let's get it over with. In fact, that was the one positive, because Fury lost. There's no excuse not to make that. And as I heard on Brunch Boxing, someone called it, let's put them together for the loser bowl.
I like that.
I mean, it's a little mean, but still, they're the losers. They both lost to Usyk. Let's put them against it. Who is the second best in boxing and the king of UK boxing the last decade or so? Although maybe Dubois is now.
Who are you taking in that fight?
I still got to go Fury.
Really?
I think, though, because Joshua. Well, Joshua got his ass kicked by Dubois. So, and Fury still, as much as he looked bad against Ngannou, he did come and he looked like he had some mobility and stuff. And I don't know if Joshua freezes when he gets hit. Fury does a little bit, gets stunned, but he has some reflexes. Joshua gets stunned, and I think Fury would do something to hit him. And then that's the downfall, because he's going to get stunned, and then he's good at gritting it, toughing it out, and staying in there to fight, but he's not good on how he fights after he gets hit. So I think I would favor Fury, but who knows? It'd sell a lot to do if they do that in the UK. Now the sad part is, what if they do that in Saudi Arabia? That fight should definitely be in the UK, huge arena, could sell a ton of pay-per-views. But they do in Saudi Arabia, it's like, okay, maybe you've half the business, half the audience that you would have had in the UK.
Half. Talking about a quarter, a tenth of the audience. If you did that in the UK with, oh my goodness, that thing would just sell out the biggest arena there.
Well, would on the live audience, I would do much less Saudi. But I was thinking about the pay-per-view buys.
Oh, I see what.
Yeah, I think it would be a massive hit pay-per-view wise in UK, but if they hold in Saudi Arabia, it's gonna, it'll sell pay-per-views. Just will not be the massive seller that it was in. It would have been in the UK, I don't think.
You were talking about the way they react when they get hit. There's like no definition of resilience with Joshua, but there's a lot with Tyson Fury. Like when he fought Deontay and Deontay put him down and he sits up like the Undertaker, that was wild. You would never get that from Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, I mean, he's been dropped several times by Wilder. And Wilder drops people. It's usually you're dead. You're dropped, like you just got shot in the head with a sniper rifle. So he got up. So you got to, also you got to suggest that might be, maybe why he's not maybe as good a fighter as he used to be. He's been in some wars he's survived hammer blows from Wilder, but he definitely has, he has a chin, and the thing too is when he gets in trouble, he does do a pretty good job of, trying to get out of trouble. The problem with now we keep going. The problem when you fight Usyk is Usyk's efficiency, his ability to. He has his striking percentage is like 44% in the fight, 43%. I can't remember the official stats. So he is a very effective puncher, and but Fury was doing his, was defending himself the first fight, and Usyk is just very good at connecting punch after punch, and finding ways to throw himself into it and get in the right angle and connect where other guys would be. The head movement would be, would make him freak out as he's doing the rope-a-dope. They would be missing. Usyk is connecting, and I think that's also what hurt. Fury came in this big size, like he was going to walk down Usyk, and I think he got, he was so hesitant because of how he got caught and hurt the first fight. So it's no spoilers. I shouldn't give it away. You haven't watched it yet. Watch the fight.
I already know what's going on because you know me. I went and I did read what happened. I just haven't taken the time to watch the whole fight yet, but I will. Now, what we're going to do right now is we are going to look at a UFC career arc. So my first question to you, John, is how the heck is UFC fighter pay even determined? And for those out there listening that are like, why are you going over this again? There are managers out there. John's talked to managers that don't quite know what happens. So this is for everyone out there that might have a question. So John, how the heck does this work? To access the bonus content of this episode, you must be a paid subscriber. To do that, go to heynottheface.substack.com and subscribe today.
Ow! Ow! Not the face! Ooh! Ooh! Okay, the face!